name's Rob,
And I am Chris.
and tonight we're going to talk about some of the really interesting TV things that have come up recently, mostly out of Netflix. The most recent announcement that they made was a Dark Crystal prequel series, 10 episodes.
Ooh. You and I have known each other 20 plus years,
Definitely.
and anyone who knows me knows that that is a near and dear movie for me. I know it is for you as well. But honestly, I still watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Even though both of my kids are in their teens, so it's not like I can even hide that. I'm just watching it because the kids are watching it, whatever. But this is probably the most exciting thing because for years Disney has teased a Dark Crystal 2. There had been rumors floating around Hollywood that this was going to get greenlit.
Yes.
And then, of course, with the Henson Creature Shop going through changing of hands with different companies, for a while it was with a German production company.
Right.
And then finally, to me, landing where it should have landed the day Jim passed, which is at Disney, is the best thing it could have happened, in my opinion.
Definitely.
In my opinion.
Because you have two Imagineer,
Absolutely.
brilliant people, Walt Disney, Jim Henson. I mean, Walt was long gone, but
that's the thing.
That
That was the first time in my life where like one of my heroes, even at a young age, passed. So we weren't even born yet when Walt passed. You know what I mean? We weren't even in anyone's peripheral vision when he passed. But Jim passing was a big thing for me. It really was. It was like the first time that I'll never get to meet him. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was just the fear of. I mean, we knew that Jim Henson was everything to the Muppets. He was Kermit.
Yes.
He did all the singing. That was a major part of our childhood. So.
And with him having local ties too.
Yes.
With MPT. him MPT and.
But they always pulled that curtain away. We always knew that he was Kermit.
Oh, sure.
But when he was Kermit, he was Kermit. We never thought twice about it. So that part of the blow where it was this brilliant creators now passed, we're now losing one of our iconic characters.
And you really have to give hats off to Brian Henson and Frank Oz and the cast of characters at the Creature Shop that had kept this thing moving. And good and bad. For every Muppet Christmas Carol, which was a great movie. It was a great movie. To the bad, which was Muppet Treasure Island.
It has Michael Caine, so it gets points for that at least.
Yeah, but
Oh no, that was Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, and
cool. Sorry about that.
But there were so many misses.
There were.
There were so many misses since Jim
even
passed.
The most recent thing of their show, their sitcom. On paper, it looks amazing, just like the newer Muppet movies. They're brilliant because, what is his name? Jason, whatever, was a fan, and
God bless him for
dove in feet first
and pushing it, But part of it is I don't think that they're still handling the properties correctly. And what I mean by that is, don't give us a Muppet show at 8 o'clock at night on prime time.
And adult them up. Yeah.
Give us a
variety show again.
Give us a variety show again. But here's another thing. Put it on the Disney Channel.
Yes.
Put it on at 7 o'clock in the afternoon or night or however you want to call it. But let's get that. They don't need to be prime time. They really don't.
No.
Our fondest memories was,
they were in syndication, right?
When we were, and that's the thing. So we watched them at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and I love them. I still love them.
That was like the lead into Mork and Mindy and all of those.
Yes.
Later 70s, early 80s shows. I mean, that was the same world we lived in, where I remember begging my parents to go home because I needed to see The Love Boat. Yeah.
I'm not going to...
Ted McGinley years, of course, by then.
But I'm just saying, you don't... there's a time and place for all of these properties. I just don't know if an 8 o'clock on ABC is that time or
Yes.
place.
But anyway, with
And-
Netflix, I think they found a perfect partner for that.
And I like the idea that it's going to be a prequel. I like the idea of
Yes.
learning some of the history of the Skeksis and some of the history
Mystics.
of the Mystics and the Gelflings.
Yes.
That would be.
I mean,
kinda
the
cool.
whole thing, we came into the Dark Crystal at the end of the story.
Correct.
There's plenty of space before that. Now, I haven't read the new comics, but just the synopsis of them kind of pisses me off, where it's like, oh, they're disenfranchised king and queen, where it's like, excuse me? That seems like grasping at straws for a story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, the
And I guess with that, we really should talk about.
yes, we should talk about the possible relaunching
Yes.
of Labyrinth.
Now, there's a lot of rumors being speculated right now.
Well, there pretty much has been rumors ever since David Bowie passed.
Correct, but it looks like some of
'Cause it
this
put
is
it
actually
back
getting
into the
legs.
limelight again. Right.
So supposedly Connolly's in. Supposedly the actor who actually played Toby, the baby, who's
Which
now.
is
Go ahead.
Brian Fruit's son.
Yes. Froud.
Frown,
Yeah.
sorry.
But he's supposedly interested in reprising the role as Toby again. And of course, the biggest rumor, news, whatever you want to call it, is Lady Gaga is going to play the Goblin Queen, which I kind of like that in the fact that
She's a unique lady.
she's a
That
unique
makes it-
lady, and Bowie was a unique dude.
Yes.
So if you're going to pick that iconic musical character,
Yes.
okay, she is the right choice of today's time and contemporary times. Not only that, that's going to bring in a younger crowd
It
to
definitely
these
will.
films.
It definitely will. And just to comment on that, my wife has never seen Labyrinth or Dark Crystal until we started dating. I can't remember which one I put in first, but Labyrinth, she liked it because there's human beings. I popped in Dark Crystal. I'm assuming to people on the outside of that situation, it's fucking weird. To me, it's pretty goddamn normal, but to have a movie 110% not one human that you see, I mean, there's humans in costumes and things, but I think that's what makes it a beautiful movie. There's so much imagination that could not be contained within a human world, and I think having humans in it would have polluted that vision. So that's why it's one of my favorites, just because
Well,
of that.
use the
alone.
Muppet shows as your point of reference, okay? So the only human you had in the Muppet Show week to week was the special guest.
Yes.
So, for us in our age group, a concept of a half-hour program or the concept of an hour and a half movie with just Muppets wouldn't be that far-fetched because we watched the Muppet Show and the only human running around was Harry Belafonte, or the only human running around was Mark Hamill, or the only human running around was Elton John,
Denver,
whatever, John
Elton
Denver, whatever.
John.
So
I mean, it was
to
with-
you and I though, we got
Yes, and with
You
the
know what I mean?
movies, I mean, the Muppet movie itself is weird. Where you have Charles Durnan chasing Kermit around for his legs to eat them. But no one ever stops like, dude, he's made of felt, man. Are you okay? No, he is a living, breathing frog in that world.
yes.
And that's what I loved about the new movies. You
Yes.
know, it's like, there's Fozzie. Hey, you bear. It's not just, hey, you weird Muppet thing with a hat running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I have a sentimental, growing up, it seems, every couple of years we had some sort of Henson
Oh, yeah.
creation. You know what I mean? So we're gonna
Like,
get really deep here. There was a really short-lived show that was fantastic. Even the opening segment was incredible. Was Storyteller,
yes.
and this was the hybrid of live action with Muppets and some very early CGI.
Yes.
And
great practical effects of
great practical
of
effects.
size, like the giant episode, which is the first thing that pops to
And of
mind.
course, Ollivander was the
yeah,
storyteller. John Hurt was the storyteller, and then there was a second season that never aired here
Which
in
was
the
all
States.
Greek
Myths.
myths.
And
That was, I thought HBO showed that eventually.
eventually, yes, but originally it was quite some time, just like Dream Child and some of the other projects that never really got any legs
Right.
here.
Because they were always far more popular in Europe, England.
Well, that's where the Creature Shop retired too eventually,
Right.
because they lost their. I mean,
there is still the one in LA because that's the one that they
but the one was
on
New York
in the reality show, which I watched. I mean, that was beautiful.
But you had a Muppet department store in New York, and when we were kids, you know what I mean. That's where you went to get the merchandise. That's where you went to, that was the only thing, that was the big Muppet mecca, for lack of a better term.
Or Joanne's Fabric.
But I like the fact that it's 2017 and we're having a conversation about the Muppets. So I like the fact that someone at Disney is taking these properties and doing something with them. That's the biggest thing for me. We can all have our feelings about Labyrinth. We can all have our feelings about Dark Crystal. If you're going to say something negative, you're wrong. But these are good properties.
They are.
These are old movies. If you were watching this and you don't even know what we're talking about, dig around. You'll allow yourself to be a kid again.
Definitely. I mean, you do have to put a bit of displacement on your belief, and that's what's the best part about it.
Yep.
But getting back to the Netflix thing with a lot of their shows that are coming out, I mean, Dark Crystal, we need more info before we can really go on more about it, but it looks beautiful. Just that little teaser that they gave was just enough to get us fans super pumped up about it.
Me, very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I can lead it into, hey kids, do you want to see this? But I don't know if they're ready for it. I mean, Fitzgig, yay! But then it's like, oh.
You will probably have more luck with Labyrinth than you will Dark Crystal.
True.
Probably. That would be my guess.
My daughter's pretty awesome, so we'll see. My son's too young. He'll be awesome too. He already calls me Spider-Man.
Oh, you take that and run.
Oh, yeah. I should film it. Be like, oh yeah, when he's a teenager. Oh my. Yeah. But anyway, one of the other Netflix things that they made an announcement, I think it was earlier last week by the time this drops, but the Witcher series.
Oh yeah, this is all you.
I am super excited for this. Now, I'm not versed with the books. That's another thing. I don't have time to read. I love reading, but I really just don't have the time. And those are something I want to dive into because they have the Polish translations now available. They're kind of
they were Polish books?
Yes.
No kidding. Okay.
And there's a good deal of them. I mean,
really?
it was a very well established series.
I just thought it was a video game.
Well, that's where I first heard about it, and that was Witcher 3. It was always a game that looked cool, but it was on the Xbox. And us being PlayStation fans, we never went that route. But number 3 came out, and I have to say that is my favorite game ever made.
Oh, you've sung the praises of that game.
It is one of the biggest open world experiences, and the storytelling is nothing gets close to it.
And to be honest, for people on a budget, a game like that,
yes,
you can put a lot of time into, so you don't have to go out and you're not playing it in 5 hours. You beat it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a good game for value. You know what I mean?
And the company that made it, so giving. Over the first 18 weeks, every week was a download. And they were everything from new kill animations or outfits to new side quests.
How much were the downloads?
They were free.
Oh, wow.
But they did have 2 expansions, which
I wonder if Destiny could do something like that.
3 expansions. 2 or 3 expansions that I actually
Or Call of Duty,
for.
or, maybe even Borderlands.
Do an American flag on your helmet? That's $15. Yeah, it's a crazy world with video games. But when they did these expansions, they added a whole extra land, islands. It wasn't just...
Wow, and all that was for free.
No, those I paid for.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But I gladly paid for them. But anyway, the world of The Witcher. As I see it, when Witcher 3 comes into play, it's kind of the dying off of this group.
Well, that's kind of the beginning of it, right? The cinematic at the very beginning is they're the last of the Witchers, right, or whatever.
Well,
it is.
the opening cinematic to the third one was a battle with Yennefer, who is a sorcerer,
Okay.
and she's doing heinous shit like turning into ravens and shooting through people's eyes and blowing out their brains and stuff. It's very graphic. Even the books, from what I understand, are very sexual, very graphic, hard
Okay.
hitting. You know, like Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Acid.
Gotcha.
So maybe that's what Netflix is going for here. But the whole thing is there's these Witcher groups, and they're all different houses. Geralt, which is the hero, is part of the Wolf house. Okay. And they're kind of dwindling off. Monsters are still around, but people are not forgetting about them, but they're so like in the deep woods now that it's rare when people run into them.
Okay.
Because what Witchers are monster hunters, and it's all for profit, which pisses people off. Like, hey, we just saved your town, here's your bill. But the thing about the Witchers were they were children taken by the group, the Witchers, and put through rigorous training, mutated through potions and magic to have super strength, super speed, eyesight, sense. You know, they're just super badasses, and they can use magic as well.
Okay.
Low level. Like, one of the things you can do in the game is you're hacking away, and all of a sudden you shoot a fireball out, catch the dude on fire, and he runs away. Hilarious.
Cross class.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. They're cross class. But within the game, how well it was written, the surviving members of Geralt's Witcher family, because they're all boys that were raised together, put through these training, and there were plenty that died within it, which adds resentment. One character you meet, he resents it because his father was drunk one night walking home and got attacked by monsters. A Witcher saved his life. He didn't have money, so he just gave him his kid. So
I got
he didn't want to be there.
Okay.
So he always has that resentment. He saw friends die around him by what they were putting them through. But you're kind of dealing with superpowers in a medieval setting. With monsters. With
well, you may have hit it right on
really
the head.
great
This may be
storytelling.
just Netflix's way of trying to horn in on that
Yes.
Game of Thrones money, whatever you want to call it.
And the thing is, not once in any of the write-ups have they talked about Geralt being the main character. They're talking about the Witcher family.
Okay.
Their side quests, the stuff they get into. Maybe they'll get to him. Who knows? But just that's exciting enough because the games were so good at introducing you to the other people in this world. And the world itself was built beautifully.
Okay.
Where it's like, I'm so excited for it.
I mean, you know, I will give it a try. I'm not as familiar with the properties as you are.
It's got swords and magic, so no shit.
I'll watch Beastmaster 4. I don't care. But I think the concept is brilliant.
Yeah.
From what you've told me over the year or two that you were playing the game, I think it's a good idea for Netflix because that's kind of an area, the sword and fantasy type thing that Netflix is a little light on. So that'll be a nice little, fit a niche for them kind of thing.
And also with their inclusion of Castlevania.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Now, the news of that,
which
my
wife found that one.
Yeah.
Which my wife is a muggle.
But she's our age. The NES rocked her world like everybody else's in the 80s. So,
yeah, but she's just not any of what we talk about.
Oh,
no.
Neither is my wife. But still, she gives it a shot. So I love her.
Yeah, my wife gives it a shot because,
like we finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh.
And
so did we.
She was flat out like, that's my favorite movie ever put on solenoid.
I really liked it. I really did. I liked the version of Ego they gave us. I thought that was kind of cool.
And the flashbacks to original Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell, yeah, brain farts today. Sorry, but I had to turn to her and go, "That's what he looked like."
With that, they did a very,
Yeah.
very, very,
Yeah.
very good job.
But the thing is, the cat, you shave off that beard, he still looks the same.
Well,
He's
that's
gray.
good genes. I mean, it's
He's a beautiful man. He's still Jack Burton. I mean, come on. Fluffy hair and all. Fuck yeah. But anyway.
That's a Big Trouble in Little China reference.
Now,
if you don't know what we're talking about, run, do not walk to Netflix, Hulu, whoever's streaming it live, and watch that movie and enjoy it. But anyway,
that is one of the movies off to the side. We grew up in a world without comic book movies, but that was our closest movie.
That was the closest we could get.
Those are things that we grasped.
No, absolutely. That was a great movie. That was a great movie.
It was in that world. But,
anyway,
and let me also say, you're a huge Marvel space fan.
Yes, I am.
So you probably view it with different eyes than me. I'm a big terrestrial Marvel fan. With a layman's understanding.
So understand that the Guardians of the Galaxy at its inception were 5 individuals that were all colonies. Okay? This was the late 60s, early 70s version of Guardians of the Galaxy that they actually gave an homage to in the movie.
Sylvester Stallone.
It's
like, Jesus Christ, man. This is like $1 billion movie for Disney. Speak. That was my only gripe with that movie. But go ahead.
The worst part about it is, do you know who he is? Probably one of the most pivotal characters in early Guardians.
I can see him in my mind. I can't think of the name.
He's Starhawk.
Yes, Starhawk.
Well, at least that's the portrayal, and that is a very important character in the Guardians of the Galaxy mythos. And I don't hate Sylvester, but that is the furthest actor I would have picked to play this particular individual. But anyway, fast forward through the Guardians mythos in the 2007-8 time frame. 2 very talented gentlemen named Abbott and Lanning, who've done a couple books for Marvel, a couple books for DC, and they have a great way of telling a story. They add some humor to it, which they've really played up in Guardians. So this particular roster that you see is Peter Quill, and of course Rocket and Drax, and a character who's very near and dear to my heart. I am probably the only other fan in the universe that actually likes this guy. I am an Adam Warlock aficionado. Fiend. And there is a huge nod to him in one of the 5 cutscenes, and that's a big deal to me because he's a genetically perfect individual, and every time, every inception of Adam, he has a different power set. And what was neat about Guardians of the Galaxy was they actually awoke him early. So he was in his chrysalis, and they cut him out because they needed his help to go against the Annihilation Wave. And because of that, basically Adam didn't fulfill his cycle of rejuvenation, and he comes out almost like a Sorcerer Supreme. He has a version of his powers, but not the fullest extent of his powers, if this makes any sense. So he kind of was almost a magical type character when he was in the Guardians, which was a neat concept because Adam has always had whatever the hell he needed when it came to powers, okay? So he had an Infinity Gem for a long time, actually the one the Vision wears right now. But the movie does a really nice job introducing the Yondu that I knew with the large fin.
Because Charlie 27
is Ving Rhames, who doesn't get enough work as far as I'm concerned. The crystal guy that's standing next to Stallone, Star Fox, is a guy named Martin X, which is Marty for short. But the interesting thing is there's a gentleman that is red that's on the far side of the new Ravagers, scene with Stallone. He is the Sorcerer Supreme of the 31st century of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The one
You're talking about the Serpentine character.
Yes, the one actually does a little Doctor Strange type stuff for you. So I'll be interested to see how they pull a character who's from a variant timeline, because that's what the original Guardians were. They were a variant timeline, and make this fit. because, of course, there can only be one Sorcerer Supreme
Definitely.
at a time.
Yeah.
We've already been introduced to him. So that'll be kind of cool. But Guardians is fun. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of heart. It really does. And I like the concept. Well, this is a great movie, knowing what we're in for next summer, because this is, at least in my opinion, you feel at the end of this that they solidified as a family team.
Yes.
Not just a group of guys that got thrown together to save the galaxy. You know what I mean? Yes. And I really enjoyed it.
And I thought Mantis was a great addition.
And hats off Marvel. Dave Bautista is probably the greatest straight man ever. Honestly, he really
I have legendary turds.
Yes, you are a hideous creature, but beautiful on the inside. Yet again, my wife doesn't know anything about any of this. She is laughing out loud in the theater. You know what I mean?
With my wife bawling. The last 15 minutes of that.
Oh, well.
Bawling.
Yet again, hats off. Michael Rooker as Yondu is great.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
Yeah.
Which has gone on with a life all of its own online, social media and such.
For somebody who's always played the biggest, toughest character in the room, for him to be the way he is, from Walking Dead to the love of God, Mallrats.
Yes.
He's always just been this dick, for lack of a better term.
If this means anything to anybody, I talk all the time that me and my daughter play Disney Infinity all the time. They did a Yondu figure.
Mm-hmm.
I never gave a shit. I came home from that movie, looked at my wife, go, we're getting Yondu now. Because there was so much character growth to him,
mm-hmm.
And he wasn't 100% main character in this movie. But every time he was on screen,
he stole the scene.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Until the end, where him and Rocket, and it's like, because you're like me.
Oh,
Your heart fucking broke.
That was a very powerful moment in a popcorn summer movie. And that it was. I cannot disagree with that. I mean, that is one of the best things. There were so many great scenes in this film. There were so many great scenes right at the opening. The opening of the movie is probably one of the most unique things I've ever seen, where you wonder what they're doing. Well, they're making a speaker system, and they don't even get it to work really. And then when he finally does,
then the credits roll.
The credits roll.
Now, did you see it in 3D?
I did not.
Oh my fucking god! That is a movie where you go, how can you see that without 3D? Because like when Groot's dancing around and the camera's spinning,
it's panning as I got you.
Was beautiful. And of course, when they're on Ego.
Oh, and by the way, if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, turn off. We don't want to ruin anything.
Well,
sorry.
I mean, we're not giving that big of spoilers away.
Well, I'm just saying.
But yes, if you want to turn away, turn down this volume. Hopefully, the volume's actually fucking working this time.
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're trying.
We bought a mic. It didn't work. We'll get it.
We're working on a $100 budget. Okay, so we're doing the best we can. Anyway.
Yeah.
But great movie. It
is. In the pedigree of the movie with my family, I drug my wife to see it.
Did you really?
The first one.
Well, this was
it was like my birthday or whatever
it
was. And within the first 5 minutes, she's bawling and saying, "What did you bring me to?" Because Peter's mom's dying. And it's emotional. The movie starts with this gut punch.
And then 30 seconds later, it's...
Right. You're laughing your ass off. She was laughing her ass off.
And the opening sequence with Redbone in the background, Come and Get Your Love, okay? Within 30 seconds, that became my 16-year-old, 15-year-old daughter's favorite song. We leave the theater, and she's like, "Dad, can I download that on iTunes?" And I'm like, download the whole album, honey. Exactly. You know what I mean? It was like...
Even the David Hasselhoff song.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, I mean, we weren't... The new soundtrack wasn't even out a day. And we downloaded it. You know what I mean? And so, James Gunn, I somehow, some way, if this ever gets you, thank you so much.
You're a fucking genius, man.
Because I am a Guardians fan. I really am. I'm a huge Guardians fan. So thanks for taking something I never thought would ever see the light of day,
Yeah,
and making it really good.
and
You know,
thanks to Disney for giving him a shot. You have a wonderful eclectic portfolio, but to
Mhm.
the big studios, it might not look that way.
No, you're right about that.
And
You
the
are right
chance
about
they took, I mean, I looked at Megan on the way out and I said, can you imagine 5 years ago seeing a tear trickle down from a raccoon's face and losing your shit? I mean, honestly, the
or the fact that a baby
landscape of,
tree is telling you that he doesn't like hats.
because you don't know what the person's head looks like underneath. Which in an alien world, galaxy, that makes a lot
It
of
does
sense.
make a lot of sense. It does.
But
Anyway,
it's a beautiful movie. I mean, we jumped over and talked about that a little bit more, but we'll get back to TV. We got Netflix with Dark Crystal, The Witcher, Castlevania.
oh yeah, Castlevania.
Now,
No, nothing. I know. I've heard. Other than whatever Netflix has given us, which is just a really kick-ass picture.
yes,
Which is a really kick-ass
it
picture.
is. It's enough to get your
Yeah,
wife,
yeah.
who, as you were saying, is a muggle, excited about the film.
Completely.
Film,
completely.
TV show,
Yeah,
sorry.
whatever. Same thing, as far as I'm concerned. But it, you know, that's a rich mythos.
It is.
You know. But what's great about it is, it's not like Legend of Zelda. It's not like, where you have these. This is one of the few games of that era that hasn't had a
Renaissance?
Renaissance. Yeah, that's a probably, I mean, there's Contra shirts with the
Right.
unlimited line,
Oh, yeah.
code on it. There's thousands of Legends of Zelda things, of encyclopedias, and
Oh, yeah.
and there's I mean, God in heaven, I couldn't even tell you Mario stuff. Where do you start with that? But Castlevania was kind of like the redhead stepchild of that
The same could be
genre
said
of
about
that era.
Metroid, the same thing. So much potential.
You're
They
right.
haven't really
You're
touched
right.
it in
You're right.
years.
So, cool. I'm glad somebody's doing something with it, because it could be good. You hope it's good.
Yes.
And I guess with that,
This is all you, my man. But Star Trek Beyond.
Discovery.
Sorry.
That's all right.
That's how much I give a shit. Sorry.
So, yeah.
Now, this is supposed to be set 10 years before Kirk and Spock. That's what they were saying.
Correct. And everything I've read, which I've read a lot, and there's the speculation on this is just staggering. There's from a power struggle at Paramount, with one producer's vision of Star Trek, another the CEO's vision of Star Trek, and the people were fired, people were replaced. Announcements of actors who apparently aren't even going to be in the show now.
Right.
Just all kinds of. This is literally a fucking mess.
But I have to say they fast-tracked the shit out of it, because
you say that
for what we're seeing on screen right now, minus all the behind-the-scenes stuff, but they announced the actress, I can't remember her name, from Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
How long ago was that? A month?
Okay,
and now we got footage.
But fair enough. But literally a week before that, the announcement was made that Jason Isaacs is going to be the captain. He ain't nowhere to be seen in this trailer. Okay? And then everything you're reading is Michelle Yeoh is the captain. So, yet again, there's this
and
mess.
how long is she actually going to be on it? Because the whole trailer at one point's like, oh, here's your ship. So is it like, peace?
So then there's also the argument, this is not the Kelvin timeline, which of course is the J.J. Abrams timeline. Okay, that's what it's been called.
Even though it looks like it.
Yeah.
It's a total, for lack of better terms, they're pulling a Lucas.
They are.
Because you look at the bridge of the first Enterprise, and then you look at this bridge, and you're like, what the fuck?
Which, and I hate to say this.
So that's why my mind was like, oh, it must be the Abrams
I hate
universe.
to compare them. I hate to compare them. I really do. But yet again, Rogue One, you took the time and effort to make it look like it could have been at the same time frame as Episode 4.
To the point where he went to the extras, like, can you grow mutton chops? Can you let your hair grow out and be a little shaggy?
What about the 70s consoles in the Death Star and stuff like that? So this is kind of my thing. If you're going to do a prequel and you're going to do it 10 years before Kirk and Spock, why aren't they in the colored shirts?
I mean,
Why aren't they in some version of it? And here's another thing. Okay, for the love of God, you've given me every BS excuse on what Klingons look like.
Is that what they're fucking supposed to be? They look like armadillos from Marvel.
So we were fed a line of crap from the 60s Klingons that they were crossed with humans, so they would look more like human.
To be dignitary.
To be dignitary. So that's why the Klingons from the 60s looked the way they did. This is what we were given. I mean, okay, all right, I'll go with that.
And then what? You have Worf then that's even what? Now 2/3 human, 1/3?
No. No. Worf is 100% Klingon. He was the only survivor of the Kitamar incident.
Oh, that's right. He was just adopted.
He was adopted by. Yes.
So sorry.
It's quite okay.
Fucking sorry.
So
I like Worf, but
I hate that. That's cool, dude. I mean,
because we lived in a world where syndication ruled.
Yes.
I not being a huge Star Trek fan, still watched Next Generation.
I watched all of it.
All the characters were great.
I watched everything but Voyager.
But okay, timeline-wise, how many years is Next Generation after the original show?
It's like 100 years.
100 years.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yet that has more in tune with the original designs.
Correct.
Than this new fucking show.
But part of that is Rick Berman. Okay. Part of that is Roddenberry still was very much alive when Next Generation was started.
His widow.
Michelle Barrett Roddenberry.
Very much involved as well.
Yes, and so there was a lot of their fingerprints all over Next Generation, and honestly, Jonathan Frakes isn't given enough credit. He really kind of took a lot of that, helmed it, did the best he could. A lot of the episodes, some of the better episodes, were ones that he directed.
Okay, let me interrupt real quick. As a layman's viewer of it and of the mythos, did you have the same barometer I did with when he had a beard? They were good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't want to feel like a weirdo.
But that's my concern. There is a lot of rich Star Trek mythos out there. There's a lot of rich Star Trek guys out there that know it, love it. They go to the conventions every year in Vegas.
It's to the point where they really though. Star Wars or Star Trek.
But you really kind of flipped everybody off with Discovery. At least this is what this looks like, okay? And we'll make or break your show. And we'll make or break your $6 for your pay service. So,
Was the Scott Bakula show a prequel as well?
Yes, it was. But I understood that because that was shortly after Contact. Okay? So First Contact was made, and T'Pau was the first officer, which she's a big deal in the Vulcan timeline.
From the 80s.
Anyway, but they put a lot of time into Enterprise, and it showed, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It showed.
I mean, Scott Bakula, that was enough to get my attention. Quantum Leap, love that show.
I love that show too. But here's the thing: it was so close to the Air Force uniforms. So if you're going to see the first group of Earthlings, Terrans in space, they're going to go to.
That does make a lot of sense.
They're going to go to their first type of outfit.
Yeah.
They're not going to go dramatically different. This show takes 10.
Everyone on Earth is still wearing jeans, but we got you this
rayon
material, rayon,
Under Armour for everyone. But no, the
oh, that'll be next. That'll be the symbol.
But this is 10 years before Kirk and Spock.
Yes.
You've given me nothing to give me that retro 60s
or to tie them into it.
To tie into it at all. So here's my thing. Embrace the Kelvin timeline, if that's what you want to do with this, and that way I'll feel better. Most of the Star Trek fans will feel better. And the ship doesn't look very Federation-y, for lack of a better term. I like Michelle, as the captain. I think that's a good choice. I think that's,
And the aliens that are part of the crew.
Yes,
I'm all for.
But the thing all is, for too. Yeah. I just wish we had seen them before this.
Like, my race has been bred to
see
death. I see it. Like,
it's coming.
As soon as you give someone that
coming around the bend
of your life.
Oh God.
I was raised to bake cake. Here's a cake.
Well, it's the Cyclops from Krull. That's
I
what
can see my death. Oh! Yeah, same thing in a movie. It's my birthday today.
Yeah.
But that looks
Hey.
cool. But I do have the one question that comes up though. The Vulcan dude's talking to her, and like, oh, your feelings, your feelings. So is she supposed to be part Vulcan?
No, from what I could have read, let me be clear, because there's too much information about this out.
Probably from many different
A lot of
generations
disgruntled.
its building.
Yes, because it's been postponed like 5 times.
Right.
This show should have been out last August, and then we heard it was going to be out in September of last year, and then it was like Christmas, and then no, it's going to come out in February, and then no, it's coming out in May, and whatever. It's been just this thing that's been pushed,
Right.
and it's so the what I've read is she is a Vulcan that was raised by humans.
Or you mean human raised by Vulcans?
No, I think she was a Vulcan.
She
I
doesn't
think
look like she's got pointy ears.
It's just I'm from what anyway. So I mean we'll all see, because I'm gonna wait until it's pirated and put on YouTube, because I'm not paying $6 for that. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
A wrap up show. They're doing like a Talking Dead to it. That's how much stock they're putting into this. But anyway, something else that we haven't gotten a lot of info on that is coming down the pipe is a Judge Dredd TV show.
Ooh, yeah.
This I'm pretty psyched
Mega
about.
City.
Mega City 1, which is pretty much all of America is a city. Well, besides the wastelands and such.
Most of the coast, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is talk that's very exciting.
Is Stallone in it?
Oh, Rob Schneider will be back. That Carl Urban is in talks to reprise his role as Dredd.
That's great.
Yes,
that's great.
That movie is damn near perfect.
Considering, think about it this way, okay? You're in a high rise the entire movie.
Yes. It's The Raid, but with Judge Dredd.
I don't have flying cycles. I don't have guns that I talk to. I don't have Armand Desante. I don't have,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, look, this at the time I was glad we got it, okay, because we were in a sci-fi desert. So to a certain extent, I was okay that we had it.
Yeah.
I had to spend 20 minutes explaining to my wife that it was not a sequel to Demolition Man, which is what she thought, and I'm sure a lot of other people thought as well.
Why the hell not? Honestly.
But
yeah, there's only one reason I have never seen that movie, and I never will. He takes his goddamn helmet off.
Well, yeah, that's
how 40 years of a comic book, and we've never seen his face.
You're right.
5 minutes within a movie. Yandu.
Oh Lord.
He's not Ravager.
Oh. Anyway, but
we'll never fly the colors. Fucking never mind. How many million did you get? Stumbled through that bullshit.
I heard he wrote his own lines.
Well, he did write Rocky. That's the thing. You gotta give the dude accolades for his past.
Apparently, he's like a Shakespeare aficionado, which I find.
I like Oscar. I'll defend Oscar. I like Oscar. That's how much I like Sylvester Stallone.
Stop, or my mom will shoot.
Well, you had to still get it. I was a Golden Girls fan then, and I am now.
Okay. All right. But Mega City, concept-wise, if Urban comes back, we
got a hit show.
That'll be a great show.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a great show. I really, that should be top-notch, really.
So over the next year, we got some beautiful things to look forward to.
We got House of Cards in a week on Netflix. I know you're not a fan, but I'm saying we got
House of Cards. I can't say I'm a fan or not. I haven't seen it.
It's great. And then of course, at the end of this October, we've got finally Stranger Things 2. So there's a lot of
which I was pretty let down because last year it came out on my birthday, and I was talking about that shit for months beforehand. It's set in the 80s. It's a monster show. I mean, I was like, this was made for me.
It was. And
little
for
did
me,
I know, I finally emerged
kind of
from my house and the whole world was talking about it.
Well, and
that was very shocking.
Well, you were on it from day one. I had talked to you shortly around, maybe wishing birthday greetings, whatever it was. And you're like, hey, dude, you need to watch this. And I'm like, okay. And just so happened, I think that week, my wife and kids went on their usual summer jaunt to wherever they go that I
Yeah.
can't go. But because I got to work. But I actually watched it in like 3 nights, through the week, like a Wednesday, Thursday,
Yes.
Friday kind of thing. And I called you, I think, and said, oh my God, this is great. And
And unfortunately, my wife still hasn't seen it. She saw the first 15 minutes of the first episode, and she's like, "This is some scary shit." Because that's when Will gets taken.
and that is probably, in my opinion, probably the most intense scene as far as
until the last episode.
until the last episode.
Because the last episode, and sorry we're jumping all around,
Yeah.
but the last episode really reminded me of the movie Silver Bullet. Where we're
Oh
gonna
yeah, you
lock
said that from day
ourselves
one.
in this house.
Well, even the poster, the poster
Yes.
was very Silver Bullet-ish
Right.
in a way. You know what I mean, with the old painting.
And that is a
you know.
movie I'll defend, because when I did that thing at Halloween this past year, wrote that post about it because it was one of the first movies that really scared the shit out of me as a kid. That people hate that movie, and it's like, how can you?
Well, it's easy because, yet again, we've talked about this before. You're going to sit here in 2017
Yes.
and you're going to watch a movie from 30 some years ago and you're going to find every flaw with it. Well, no shit. Okay? You're going to find a flaw with it. It's not CGI. It's not, here's the thing. Okay, for all you comic hipsters out there and everyone, whatever, read a comic from 1959. 1961, 62, 63, 71, 72, 73, 74. I can guarantee if you can get through the entire god-awful thing, I'm talking classic stories here,
And
okay?
we're talking a good hour of reading. They packed those panels
Absolutely.
with so much exposition.
But the concepts were weak by today's standards,
Yes.
okay? They are difficult reads,
Yes.
okay? Why? Well, they were writing for kids. Now the comics are being written for us, the 40-year-olds and whatever.
And the artists back then were pay to play.
Mhm.
Pay us. We don't care what we're doing. Nowadays you have fans making it.
Absolutely.
And it's
well, now you have the fans of the fans of the fans making it. Okay? So, when you look at something like that, when you read something like that, whatever, put it in the time frame that it came out, okay? And try to accept it as that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Are there exceptions to that rule? Sure there are. I think Star Trek's an exception to that rule, the original Star Trek. I can still watch it and enjoy it. I think Firefly is an exception to that rule. You know what I mean? Albeit that it's more recent time frame, but still it stands on its own merits.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there are exceptions, of course there are. But by and large, when you watch something like that, when you go revisit something like that, remember when it came out. Remember the time frame that it came out, and that you'll enjoy it more instead of just looking for the holes. So, Silver Bullet, that was a good movie.
Even Maximum Overdrive, that's a movie people shit all over. Oh, it's going to be a horrible Rotten Tomato. That movie back in the day, I mean, it had an AC/DC soundtrack.
Yes.
It had the Green Goblin truck. And it was some scary
and Emilio
shit.
Estevez.
And Emilio Estevez. Yes.
Before Mighty Ducks.
Yes. Which was cool.
And Young Guns. Anyway.
Silence for
Emilio Estevez.
Career. But yeah. But anyway, we have a lot to look forward to this year when it comes to
Yes,
TV.
we do.
I'm sure over the next couple months and when we get to Comic-Con, we might get even more great information on the shows we talked about,
absolutely.
Or even newer ones. We last week, when this airs, we just had the upfronts. So there are a lot of trailers. I mean, there's like 30 some trailers and new shows.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are your normal procedural cop bullshit. There's I swear.
Speaking of which, before we sign off, I think we need to talk about The Orville. Seth MacFarlane's new show.
Yes. That looks more akin to
Star
what
Trek.
we know about Star Trek.
Ship design's very cool. Looks to be freaking hysterical.
Yes. And
It
it's a
looks like it
real,
actually has some heart.
yes, it looks like a real show.
I
It's
agree.
not just a spoof. It's not just lampooning.
So I'll call Paramount out on this, as a matter of fact. So you have Fox
Okay.
is backing the Orville,
Yes.
okay, and you have Paramount, of course. The only tent they have left is Star Trek, and so let's see who shows better. I mean, I'm not being funny when I say this. I'm not trying to.
The only two
You know.
factors here, you have Star Trek with a rabid fan base.
Yeah, but
You
I'm
have
one of those Star Trek rabid
I
fan
know,
base.
but you have Seth MacFarlane, which people don't give a chance to a lot of times. Like A Million Ways to Die in the West. I laughed my ass
So
off,
did I. I
but
did
people
too.
bash
All right,
that
but
movie.
here's my thing: Star Trek Insurrection, okay, one of the Next Generation movies.
Yes.
Fucking horrible. I'm seriously, okay? I paid money. I went and sat in the theater for that. I did. I paid money for that, okay?
Well, we all did, because there's nothing really else coming.
Fair enough. I saw Galaxy Quest.
Hmm?
Galaxy Quest is a better movie than Insurrection.
Oh, yeah.
I think Orville will be a better show than
Yes.
Discovery. That's all I'm saying. And
I
that's
agree.
a shame.
I agree.
That's a shame, because you're not giving the fans what they want. And listen, you want to know what makes us happy? We want what we want. We want what makes that show to us.
Yeah.
Good quality characters, good quality scripts, some humor when it's necessary, some drama when it's necessary. There is a dynamic.
We want characters. We want
Correct.
characters to be built on.
Why was Next Generation so good? Well, there's a character dynamic there.
Yes.
There was interaction. There was
a family
correct
atmosphere.
The first Star Trek, why was that successful? There was a dynamic there. Firefly, I hate to keep going back to Firefly, but there's a family dynamic there. These are concepts that never get old, okay? Give us what we want, and we'll be happy for the most part. We really will. We won't make, hate videos and stuff like that. And to me, it's not, maybe we're oversimplifying it. Maybe.
It's, I don't know, and I'll leave it at this. Before we went to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, my wife texted me and said, is Wonder Woman in the same universe as Guardians of the Galaxy?
Fair question for someone who doesn't.
No, it's in the Batman, Superman world. Hey, we can watch that movie so you can see Wonder Woman. That never got answered, of course. But she's like, will you feel embarrassed? And I'm like, don't forget, I'm a super dork. I don't draw lines in the sand.
Please don't make me watch a dork movie, honey.
What?
Please don't make me rewatch a dork movie, honey. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
I'll watch Superman, Batman again. Why? Well, you know what? Why not?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's all good to me.
It's all enjoyable.
It is.
It's all escapism, which is what it's all about.
And it's weird nowadays. You run into somebody that is a insert fan name here, title. Hey man, have you ever played D&D? Oh heavens no! And they look down at you. You know what I mean?
But I've carried boxes of Magic cards around. Just saying,
yes.
It's
There's so many lines drawn in the sand.
I agree.
Nowadays. It's sad. Because back then in the 80s, it's like you entrenched yourself in the lifestyle.
Well, the old convention scenes was, hey, there's an RPGer, there's a comic guy, there's a Star Trek fan, there's a Star Wars fan. You know what I mean? What did we all have in common? The fact that we all had that in common. We all had that different.
We all had that awakening
of whatever.
Displacement.
Right, exactly. Okay, you were overweight. You couldn't run as fast, or
hey.
Well, no, hey, I had to, we all had to work very hard to obtain whatever social status we all didn't have, whatever.
And you know what? Here's the thing, and I was thinking about this the other day at work. I was beaten up for being a dork.
Mm-hmm.
I was bullied for being a dork.
Mm-hmm.
This went on forever.
Mm-hmm.
I could have simply stopped being a dork.
Nope.
Started watching sports or any of that shit. But I believed in it so much that I would continually get my ass whipped and still go home and read comic books. Sling some fucking dice. Watch whatever cartoon was still on after school.
I went a different route. I stayed with all of that, but at some point I made the concerted effort to lose the immense amount of McGoodness, and I had a chip on my shoulder. So for anybody who called me a dork, it wasn't I'd run or take the punch, I'd punch you. So,
Understood.
you know, that's where I went with it. And everybody's different. I'm not, this is not the point of this. But we all went through our rite of passages, good, bad, or indifferent.
Correct.
With the things that
so
we
I think
liked.
These are hardships that we carry with us that, yes, we do have. I never want to say looking down at, but people that have watched every single X-Men movie and then go, I'm a nerd! No. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you like them.
I'm glad you love Wolverine. I'm glad you like X, Y, and Z of the X-Men movies.
But unless you've sat on the floor of a dingy armory or a dingy Legionnaires Hall or a clean hotel ballroom looking through 50-cent, 75-cent dollar boxes for the gem that may or may not be in there.
Yeah.
Or the whole...
And it's not even a dollar amount gem.
No.
It's filling a hole in
It's filling
series.
a hole in the series.
Oh my God,
Yep.
This obscure character that I like made a special guest appearance in this one comic. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's kind of where it all starts from for us. You know, I'm glad you like Big Bang Theory. I'm glad you can buy every comic character T-shirt on the market. I am, because I keep them alive. I buy a boatload of that stuff. But when we came up, we didn't have it. You know, we had to drive an hour and a half to Tyson's Corner. We had to drive an hour to DC. We had to drive wherever it was for whatever comic show. And when I tell you it was a ballroom, I mean, 30 by 40,
Right.
45 by 50, whatever it was, and all day, because you only had $15. And $3 of that was to get in the door. So $12, could go a long way on a 50-cent box.
Yeah, when the people signing autographs were like the local guy that just happened to do one ink job on a NAM comic, which is a real story.
Well,
but guess what? That was my first show, first real artist. Please sign. Sure, I'll pay 75 cents for your NAM comic.
I can remember when one of the local shows had Mike Zack, and that was a big deal.
No shit.
That was a big deal. And I come there, right, to the show, and I'm dragging my 5-issue miniseries to get signed, and it was like meeting frickin' Chuck Norris in 1985. I totally didn't know what to say, because to me, he was as cool as, anybody, because that was somebody who's like, oh my God, Mike Zack,
Yeah, that's a story for another time.
With
meeting some of those people.
But this was our Dork. We grew up, we didn't have any of this that we have now. So don't pigeonhole yourself with being a fan of this, or don't pigeonhole yourself being a fan of that.
Just appreciate it all.
And appreciate it all. Because I'm
other.
going to tell you right now, it will all disappear as quick as it all came.
It will.
It will. We've survived 3 or 4 of these upturns and downturns and whatever else with comics, you know what I mean? So,
but anyway. As Jerry Springer used to say, love each other. So keep being rad, stay dorky. My name's Rob.
I'm Chris.
Thank you for watching My Side of the Laundry Room Live.